Hi, I'm Dean, and I'm privileged to be hosting the Doctor's Hospital Her Fight, Her Story series about breast cancer or cancer survivors at Doctor's Hospital. It's a privilege right now to have a conversation with Flo. As I sit on the set without even beginning this conversation, I sense the spirit of a warrior just emanating from her. And so, Flo, welcome to our series today. How are you?
I'm fine, and it is good to be here.
Now, this is my first time meeting you, and I'm sure that this is going to be the first time some of the employees at Doctor's Hospital will meet you as well. So tell us a little bit about you, what you do at the hospital.
I work in CSST. We sterilize instruments for theater.
Okay, and how long have you been with the hospital?
About 31 years.
31 years. That's quite a journey with the hospital. And so thank you for your service. I'm certain that every patient that's been in the operating room is thrilled to have a team of people sterilizing the equipment and having that confidence entering surgery. So thank you so much.
You're welcome.
So Flo, tell us. You're a cancer survivor.
Yes, I am.
Give us a little bit about your story.
Actually, I don't have cancer in my family as far as I know. I just got sick one morning and I went to work and my boss sent me home. You know, we think everything is gas. So I bought some peppermint, I took it home. But when I drank it, and it's like when I lay down, it's like my lungs start to fill up. So I called my friend and I told her, I said, I'm not feeling well, and she took me to the ER. When I got there, they thought I had because they were giving me muscle relaxer, they thought I had a disc slip. But the pain was so bad, so my friend said, you shouldn't go home with all this pain. This was a Friday, and they admitted me. I stayed there Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. They was treating me, I guess, for what they assumed it was. But one morning I was just sleeping because I had a restless night. And I was laying on my stomach and I heard this doctor tap me on my shoulder, Miss Williams. And it was Dr. Diego. He was my doctor that I saw in the ER. He said, Miss Williams, I went back and looked at your x-rays and I saw that you had a mask. He said, I'm going to call Dr. Sands and we can take another look. I was like, Lord, this must be God, because from Friday to Monday, and he still got me on the mind to go back and look. I was like, this got to be God. And so Dr. Sands came and we went down, we did the x-ray, and he showed me, he took me to the desk and he showed me the mask. It was the size of a grapefruit.
Wow.
And he said that he was going to discharge me. And he had made all arrangements to have the surgery that Monday, And God is just so good, on my way to the hospital to get that surgery. Do you know, the devil I just had a big accident right on the road. I was like, look at this delay and I have to get here. I remembered my friend Shamika. She lived right across the way, and I called. I said, Shamika, girl, I'm trying to get to the hospital, and Andrew just had an accident taking Nicholas to school. But you could imagine your son in the car with splint in his face, and you going under major surgery.
Yes,
and I was like, Lord, but I know God will always take control. Oh, I went to the hospital. The hospital was like home.
Yes.
So you had familiar faces, you had people who was just wishing you best wishes. So the journey wasn't really hard. It was not. Having the surgery wasn't bad. Like I say, the hospital is like family. People have difference, but in sickness, they know how to come together.
That's nice.
And I had the surgery, the healing process was fine. I didn't have people to really come to my house to take care of me. But friends called to see how you were doing, if you needed anything. It was a really painful surgery though.
Okay.
Like I say, I prayed, I fasted. It's a time when you spend with God and,
Yes.
But, and then it took a while before the test that they sent away to come back to see whether it was cancerous or not. So that lingering portion was really bad.
Yeah. How did you feel during that process when you were waiting for your results?
Well, I cannot say I was not afraid, because I was.
Yes.
But you can't give up hope even though you're afraid.
Yes.
And then when I went to Dr. San's office, like I say, he always gave me hope. And so when the test finally came, when I went to Dawn Albury was there. She is a really excellent lady. And she came in with me when he told me. I honestly, when he first told me, it was like someone hit you a blow.
Yes.
But then I just caught myself a little bit, and I went to one of my friends, and we began to pray. And she said, you know what, Flo, don't be afraid. Every morning I went to Mass and I took communion. I fasted, I prayed, and I told God, you know, what I wanted.
Okay.
And after a while, it seemed hopeless, but you cannot give up.
Yeah.
You can't. I believe if you're asking God for healing, you have to trust Him.
Yes, you do.
And that's one of the things I did. I trusted God, and He was faithful.
So would you say that your journey with cancer helped you to develop a deeper relationship with God?
Yes.
It did?
It made me to know that no matter what is happening, you have to trust God.
Yes.
No matter how it looks, you have to trust God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as you think back on your journey of going to get your results alone, what recommendation would you give to your colleagues who are watching this if they're going to get the results of a test? Like, what would you tell them to do?
Well, sometimes you just simply don't have anyone to go with you. Sometimes you don't. Well, Miss Seymour, because she had gone through it, if I had anything that I didn't understand, you could ask her.
Yes.
You know, you had people that you could have asked. Sometimes you're not always alone. You might go someplace alone, but you're not always alone.
Yes.
You know, alone is a state of mind sometimes.
It is. And sometimes we need to be alone to process our thoughts, process our feelings. And there are times when we need the support of other people so we don't go down dark tunnels, because it's easy when you have a cancer diagnosis to begin to become negative. Like you said, it was difficult when you're not
because
knowing,
you're gonna be
know,
scared.
right, when you're facing that fear. And you know, we're in a time now, we're lucky to be in a time now where cancer treatment has advanced so much, but many years ago we weren't in that same place, right?
Yeah, that's what Dr. Curlin told me when I went with the lung cancer. He said, you know, Ms. Williams, it's like you got sick in a time when this medicine is really, you know, this is a new medicine on the market.
Okay, and so your experience with Dr. Curling helped to ignite more hope in you as a result of him sharing that information with you?
Well, I believe Dr. Curlin treated me, but I believe God was the healer in all of this.
Awesome.
And when I went to his office, I went with the mind that, you know, he can only treat me. God has the final say. So it didn't make me sad, but I was grateful that he was able to, you know, administer what God had.
And so what type of treatment what was this new treatment? How was the journey with the treatment?
I wasn't sick. I can't remember exactly the name of the treatment, but I was not sick. There were times I had to go in because sometimes your blood count dropped. Okay. But I didn't have any sickness or anything of that sort.
Well, that's great to hear that the medicine didn't have an adverse impact on you. And it's important that other people hear that too, because sometimes we hear people's stories and because they've been so sick, we believe that we're going to get sick. But it's great to hear that the medicine works differently for different people, right?
Sometimes people make us afraid. Sometimes we need to take that journey for ourselves and see what the experience we would get. Because like I say, what will make you sick will probably not make me sick, you know? So
absolutely.
It's not always like that.
Right. And if you're in contact with other cancer survivors, the conversation is different versus just having a conversation with someone who may have not been personally touched by cancer, because they would not have the experience to speak to it. So the conversation will be different based on who you're speaking to.
That's true.
Yeah, and what I love about what you're saying is that despite your circumstances, your faith in God was something that anchored you and helped you to believe that healing would be your portion.
Believe if we ask God and we be patient, you know.
Yeah. So tell us about that process of being patient, from when you asked God to heal you to the place of being healed. What was that journey like?
It's not easy to wait, but you have to. It's like self-discipline. You have to.
Yes,
You
right.
have to wait.
Yes.
If you believe that God can do something for you, then God is an on-time God. You have to wait. You
Yes,
have to wait.
absolutely.
I wasn't always, sometimes you have that doubt.
Yes.
But you have to.
Yes.
You have that little thing on
And
your
that's how we
shoulder
be
telling
real,
you,
right? We
yeah.
do have that doubt and we do question. And that's the human part of us, and it's
Yes.
okay to acknowledge that. And when we slip into that spiritual part of us, then we can stand a little stronger in face of the doubt.
Speak to yourself.
Yes. We
Encourage
must. I mean, the
yourself.
Bible
Yes.
tells us that we should encourage
yourself.
ourselves.
Yes. Encourage
And when
yourself.
we're able to stand and encourage ourselves, and then we have other people also encouraging us, it makes us and the situation a whole lot stronger.
Yes, it does. It does.
And so as you think about your journey with cancer and the fact that it came at a time when there was new medication and you've been asking God for your healing, how did God respond?
Well, I've been healed for so long, but I feel like I'm blessed because
Right.
so many people had the same ailment as I did, but they fret. And the worst thing you could do with any ailment is to fret.
Yes.
It makes you more sicker.
Yes.
I am so grateful. I am grateful for the people that were around me. Even though sometimes it might not seem like a lot, it's a lot. Just a
Yes.
phone call is a
Yes.
lot,
Yes.
So we have to be grateful for whatever small blessings God gives us. And that's how I feel about it.
And as a cancer warrior now, we're not going to call you a survivor, we're going to call you a warrior, because you've
I
had to
don't
come
know
through,
too much about a
you've had to
warrior.
come through so much to the place of being here today and healed, right? And as you look back on your journey, what advice would you give to one of your colleagues who may be facing an uncertain battle with illness at this moment? Like, what advice would you share based on your experience?
Trust God. That's all I can say.
Trust God.
Because I believe that I am a miracle, a walking miracle.
Yeah.
So I could say trust God.
I want to take that just a little deeper because I want to understand, what does it mean to trust God? How do we show that? How did you show your trust?
Okay. Even though I had the cancer, right, I didn't know anything about cancer. I've heard people say they had cancer, so to hear something to actually have it. But I'm trusting God now for healing. So I'm fasting, because fasting helps heal the body.
Yes, it does.
I'm disciplined. I've taken out all the sugar. What is the enemy of cancer? You research things that you shouldn't put in your body.
Yes.
So if you're looking for, I can't expect to have money if I spend it all.
That's
so
right.
if you're looking for healing, you have to discipline yourself.
Absolutely.
And so I believe that God was able. And when I went to, I had to travel a few times to do the PET scan, because at that time they did not have one there.
Right.
I don't even, to be honest, I just trusted God for my healing, and God came through. When I went to the doctor said the cancer was no longer there.
Yes.
But every, I think 6 months I go to them.
Okay.
They
Great.
give you a checkup, and once a year they give you a CT scan.
Okay. Flo's story so far is actually a demonstration of the fact that trust is an action word. When we say we trust God, there are things that we must do to demonstrate that trust. And Flo shared with us that if we're trusting God for our healing, we need to fast, we need to pray, we need to cut out sugary food. So just because we say we trust God isn't enough. That trust must be backed up by some action. And I love that you shared that. As you think about the journey though, Flo, and the fact that your family journeyed with you, I heard you speak about a son who was in an accident. How did this impact your family life?
My children were big. I guess my son was in school, so children don't really understand some things. So he knew I was sick, but to what the extent, because you don't want to stress them out going to school. And my oldest son, he came, and whatever he could have done, he done. I have a daughter, she worked, but basically I am really alone now, to be honest. I had a friend, Andrew, who came by, and Andrew he was like a mother hen, even though he was a man. So he did more of the bring in the food, and if I needed to go to the doctor visit. And I could not have done all this without him, if I want to be honest. Yes.
I'm just loving the reoccurring theme, though, that support is so important when we're facing difficult journeys. I hear you say you're a loner, which is good, and then I hear you say when necessary there were people who came in to help you, so that you knew that you weren't alone, and that if you needed to tap into support that you could, right? So I'm loving that you had both of those components. As you think about where you are today as a woman warrior with the spirit of a warrior, that's someone that says, I trusted God and I put action behind my trust. And I'm here today as a testimony that you can live after a cancer diagnosis. What advice would you give to other cancer patients who may not, who may be in a difficult place at this time in their faith journey?
Okay, what do you call difficult? Because you have to have hope. No matter how bad your journey is, you have to have hope. And hope would keep you so strong you would not believe it. So I would say keep hope, keep faith. That's all I can say. Because at this point right here, I look back at my own life, and I am always grateful to the Lord. I never forget to say thank you. I was like, Lord, look where you brought me from. 8 years is a long time. Eh? For someone to tell you yesterday that you have cancer, and cancer of the lung.
Yes.
So
Yes, cancer of the lungs. You are indeed a living testimony, because if you know about cancer, you know that that's one of the more difficult ones to treat. So you are indeed a miracle, which could just be a testimony of your faith. You decreed it, you declared it, you put your action behind it, and God came through and He delivered for you. So that's great, Flo. As you consider everything you went through with cancer, how did it make you a better person?
Well, it made me appreciate life.
Nice.
It gave me, even after having all the pains in hospital, it gave me a different respect for pain also. So, sometimes you see people and some people would not understand, but because I've been there, I understand a little better.
Yes.
And sometimes people only need that little understanding,
Yes. That's why support groups are so important, because they're filled with other people, women and men who've journeyed with cancer, who've been there. They have the knowledge. They have some of their best practices that they can share. So those support groups are very, very important. What would you say about the value of support groups to people listening? What would you say to them about perhaps joining support groups?
I think I can help somebody on that journey, because sometimes it's not always what we say, it's what we do.
Yes.
So I think if somebody is having a lung cancer, I think I can help.
Yes.
Like I say, not for so much talking, but for what you can do. Sometimes action speaks louder than words,
And Flo, sometimes we really just need someone to sit with us in our silence.
It is true. It is true.
Just having someone in silence with us is support. So support is so many different things, and depending on the individual, we give what is actually needed of them, right?
It is true.
And so you're a beacon of hope for people with lung cancer, and you are a living testimony for them, and an encouragement for them to fight, right?
Yes.
As you
don't give up.
Don't give up. And as you think about lung cancer or cancer generally, what would you like to see happen in the Bahamas more surrounding support for people with lung cancer, or advances in treatment, like anything at all?
Okay, like I say, I've never been to Sister because I did not know they were not just a breast organization for breast cancer. So you've just told me now, so I can tell somebody else, word of mouth go around.
Absolutely.
They're not only there for breast.
Absolutely.
So that's a step
And then, of
forward.
course, there's the Cancer Society. And of course, I have to put a plug in for my support group, the GD Caring and Sharing Cancer Support Group. So there are options, like, different groups bring different things to different people. So we encourage people to try the groups out and see where you're best suited, right? now that there are options. And there are support groups for men too.
I did not know
Yeah.
all of this.
Yes,
I know
ma'am.
sister.
Okay.
Yeah, but I didn't know.
Yeah,
the
and the
other
Cancer
groups.
Society, there's actually a support group for children with cancer as well.
Oh.
Yes, and so there are a lot of options available, and that's why series like these are so important, so that we can share information with other people about what's available for them from a support perspective, but also from a medical perspective. As you think about the doctors that helped you,
I say
tell us
thank
about
you
that
every day.
experience.
Well, like I say, when I went to Dr. Sands' office, he not only did the surgery, he lined me up with Dr. Curlin. He checked on me to make sure I was okay. So I appreciate that. I really do appreciate that.
Yes.
Even to this very day, he want to know how am I doing.
Oh,
so
wow.
I really appreciate it because he didn't have to.
Correct.
You know.
Right. And that's how important those roles are. Our nurses and our doctors,
Yeah.
they get to leave lifelong impressions
Yes, and
on us.
being on ICU, the nurses were very good. You know, they were
Nice.
very attentive. You know.
Yeah. So we're going to send a big shout out to the doctors, hospital nurses, and to all the doctors and everyone that serve front of house, back of house. What you do makes such a tremendous difference to cancer
Yes, it
survivors and
does.
cancer patients like Flo. So thank you so much
Thank
for
you
your
so
service.
much.
As we
Okay.
begin to wrap our conversation, Flo, what advice would you like to share with people about when they get ill? You know, earlier in our conversation, you alluded to the fact that we say everything is gas, right?
Yes.
So what advice would you like to give to your colleagues about following up on health issues?
I believe that we should check. Don't matter if it seemed like gas, let the doctor tell you that's gas. Because if I had stayed home, my situation would have been early detection is the best detection.
Yes.
And so I'm so grateful I went to the hospital, you know.
Yes. And it's wonderful that your own employees could treat you,
Yeah.
right? That's
Yeah.
coming home from family and coming to family.
Seymour's mother hen.
Miss Seymour is mother hen. I'm going to say it loud for you. Miss Seymour, if you are watching today's segment, just know that you make such a difference as a mother hen. And so we want to see all of the employees at Doctors Hospital doing exactly that same thing, cultivating family for family, right? And so thank you for showing up and sharing your story today. You may come across as a quiet individual, but as you sat here, I sense the spirit of a warrior. I sense someone that's really strong despite the circumstances that they've gone through. And I see someone that is a light into the world. And so I want to encourage you to continue to share your stories, let people see you as a living testimony of lung cancer, and encourage those that you work with by way of this very segment to use their voices to do the exact same thing. So thank you so much for being here today.
You are so welcome, and it was nice to be here.
Doctors Hospital invites you to go pink this fall with the purchase of a mammogram for yourself or a loved one. From October 1st to December 31st, mammograms are only $60 for self-pay patients, and for insured patients, your copay will be waived. Call 302-4662 for more information and register at doctorshosp.com/register-online. Doctors Hospital, your breast cancer detection one-stop shop.